When you are in harmonious union, the consciousness state, things will look very different. Your perspective shifts. It's a real shift. It's an actual change of how you see the world, how you see yourself, how you see what God is, or universe is, or source is, how you see your twin flame. It's a difference in how you experience every field of life: food, work, friends, family, anything. It is a shift in the fundamental way you perceive things, because you won't see things anymore as an individual. You will see things as that you are the relationship itself. You are the union itself. The union has become the individual, if you will. You and your true twin flame have truly reached that state of being, which is a spiritual achievement, but also a daily life thing that just has normal consequences, that you start to phrase things, experience things, communicate things, act on things in a way that you are the relationship. Well, in the first place, you're the relationship between you and the divine. And in the second place, you are the relationship between you and your twin flame. And then you start to understand, not as something of your brain, like, ooh, I get it now, I have heard it from Petra, but something that is a lived experience, that you are the relationship, and that changes everything. So there are three important union realizations in this way that I would like to point out for you. 1. Twin flame ascension symptoms. People experience them as if they are an illness. And this is what I did as well when I was in the beginning of my spiritual journey with my first spiritual teacher. And he said that to me one day. He said, Petra, why do you do all the time as if you have an illness? As if you have an unwanted condition, a health condition that is so sick that it's just an illness in itself. And the illness is, I feel unconditional love. Help me, teacher, please. What should I do? I feel unconditional love. I need pills. Or something else. I need a spiritual practice against it. Or something, or I don't know what I thought. I was not thinking, I was just living this. And he pointed that out, that I just had a very strange relationship with this whole thing. And he was right, because he was right about everything. He was my teacher, after all. And now I can see that, because even though in that spiritual community where I was a part of for 20 years, it was actually not a goal in itself to be with your true twin flame now, but it was, of course, something that would sort of happen later on, because that's what a genuine spiritual journey always leads to. There's no way that it doesn't, because then it's not a true spiritual journey. The difference is, now, well, there are many differences, but one of the differences is that on top of this comes a new leading edge teaching from the Christ masters that are on earth now, that I also met after I went through this experience already. So that's also in my personal chronology also true. But nevertheless, it still fits together because I bring them together. But anyway, so you put this new opportunity to be with your true twin flame now, early in the journey, on top of this true spiritual journey. And that's what I pass on now. But indeed, you have to truly choose it, because otherwise they will sort of stay away until you have fulfilled your entire spiritual journey and you're basically a saint. But you can experience it, and it is also the way in which people are wanting right now. Because that is the way in which you are in harmony with them and in enjoyment with them and with the true one, and through which this way is the way through which your true abundance starts to move towards you in very many ways: resources, money, relationships, everything. So this is really what the people want, but they don't understand it yet. And I have an overview of that. That's, of course, one of the reasons why I am a spiritual twin flame teacher right now. I can't do anything else anymore because that's where my consciousness just ended up. So here we are. But I do remember, that in the beginning I also was like, I feel like I'm ill because I have all these unconditional love impulses from the divine in my heart, what to do. And that's, of course, a very strange attitude to have, but many people nowadays have that as well in, let's say, the twin flame community or something, right? Online and whatnot, and in videos and Facebook groups and whatnot, especially when they talk about ascension symptoms and that twin flames and ascension have something to do with each other, which is true. And that, it feels like, oh, I'm ill. Oh, I have a cold. It may be an ascension symptom. Oh, I feel I have pain in my back. Maybe that's an ascension symptom. And and I'm so much on the spiritual twin flame journey. I'm so much on the spiritual twin flame journey that I have a headache all the time. And well, that's good because it's a twin flame ascension symptom, isn't it? And the important perspective shift, realization that I want you to have from this video is that is a very strange way to think about it. You're doing as if the good thing of having the awakening in unconditional twin flame love is an illness. It's not an illness. You're perfectly fine. You're doing well. Your resistance system of your psychology plus body are, however, not attuned yet to the unconditional love inflow and need a little bit of guidance with our tools to go along with this upgrade, right? It's not an illness. You don't need to keep on talking about this twin flame ascension symptoms. Just focus on the actual inner work. And then you'll experience the joy that is born from it. And you'll laugh at the idea that it's moving from illness to illness to illness. No, it's just unconditional love that's born in you. 2, don't trash yourself. When you're not fully integrated in the union perspective, the change that everything is different now that you are in harmonious twin flame union, well, you first have to reach it, right? That's why you do the twin flame inner work under guidance and whatnot from someone that has it, because that's how you get it. Yeah. Or at any point underway when you are doing the true inner work and you're one step further, which is very good. Congratulations if you're there. Absolutely. Step by step by step. And then harmonious union. And then again, step by step by step in that new space. Wherever you are. When you've done this beautiful step, brand new, complete. Oh, more peace. Oh, I understand this situation now with my twin flame. And not only understand in my brain, but in my true being, in my heart. And I will move through the resulting emotions, whatever it is, because I have now experienced this deepening moment. And I went to my deeper peace. Wow, that was a true step towards what you really want. That's how it goes. That's how it feels. And you have made a true step towards that union perspective that changes how you see everything. But nevertheless, many a time it happens that people trash their step that they've just made. Wherever the step is, early in the journey, in harmonious union, after harmonious union, doesn't matter. They trash their step, they throw it in the dustbin, they say, I don't want it anymore. Or they don't even consciously say that, but that is the conclusion from their own actions. They just wander off to something else and they prioritize that other thing. And they step away from what they've reached. For instance, in this example, like, okay, the twin flame situation was resolved and I feel a connection with this inner peace again. But then I feel so addicted to my anger that I pick up my former upset with my twin flame again and I start it all over. And I say, well, I know that we've resolved that, but I don't agree with that anymore. I push that aside and I de-choose it, so to speak, if that's a word. And I step that side and I just say something like, no, he's still an asshole. I'm quite sure that that was the actual situation. He was just an asshole. And now I'm sure about it. Yeah, I know there was this moment that I thought that I resolved it, but no, I don't feel that anymore. I feel better to get my anger back. That's a way to trash yourself. People that go to harmonious union and then don't like their true twin flame because they now know who it really is. They trashed it. They trashed themselves. People that go to harmonious union and seemingly accept their true twin flame, but they actually say no to anything and everything in life in a subtle way, and they can't maintain it. They can't maintain the consciousness state through that as well. And now they've trashed themselves. They trash themselves and they trash also their twin flame, because guess what? You're one at the core. That's the whole point of being twin flames. Otherwise, you're not twin flames. Newsflash. Otherwise, you're not twin flames, which is not bad. It just means that your true twin flame is still out there for you to discover who it truly is. Because it's just about the deeper nature of being human. You're not special. So you trashed them. You trashed the twin flame when you trash yourself. That's the same thing. You may be like, well, I just, reject and ignore myself a tiny little bit, but I fully love my twin flame. Well, that's not possible. You see the correlation? We're one in the heart. And as a phenomenon that comes with it, what I see in my working practice, bringing people to their harmonious twin flame unions with success, I have a 100% success rate. People also trash their teacher, me. Throw it in the trash. Throw the school in the trash. And that's just what happens when you make that choice to trash yourself and your twin flame and your teacher. The important union perspective shift is, for many, don't do that. You're just working against that thing that you said that you wanted, that you chose to have. And you're only sabotaging yourself with it. That's the biggest problem. And it's so unnecessary. It doesn't jive with union perspective shift results to trash anything. You love everything. That's what happens there. And that love then multiplies. That's what the union perspective is. You can't trash yourself anymore. You can't trash your twin flame anymore. That's the whole shift that it's about. That's the whole point. It's like the psychological accompanying mentality of harmonious twin flame union that is workable, that works there. That is the psychological shift that comes with the union perspective consciousness shift. That you are in this full embrace. The psychology agrees with what happened spiritually. But sometimes we need to consciously make that step as well. Because while it spiritually shifted, your psychology was still working against that very thing. Against the core of it. It's like when you are in the rejection mentality that is about anything and everything, and you're just working against the spiritual state you've just acquired. Yeah, doesn't work right. Keep the line. Keep the line. Even when you have that psychology together with your harmonious union state of consciousness, keep the line and feel that and work consciously on that your psychological state also starts to shift in the direction of embracing the union. Because otherwise, it just doesn't fit. You can start to change it if you notice that you have that. Part of the healing. Part of the whole point. Part of the psychological shifts that, just like the physical shift and the emotional shift and the mental shift, that just result from this profound spiritual union thing. But you have to allow that to shift, otherwise you'll lose it. 3. What is an important union perspective realization? That it is about co-creation. And many can't. Co-creation. Well, first of all, you're going to co-create with God. That's the first thing, actually, what needs to happen for you to have your true twin flame in harmonious union sustainably. And that's already difficult. Because God is like overwhelmingly the one that gives you everything that you then need to follow. That's actually the co-creation with God. Many egos don't like that in the first place because they want to invent everything and decide everything. So that's where you start to see that this true co-creation is actually also having a hierarchy in it sometimes. And that's how you start to understand that co-creation with your twin flame should happen with them as absolute equals next to each other under the influence of the divine. And then between the two of you, it's not like you're going to arrange their life now. You're just going to walk over them and push them to the left and to the right. Control them. Control how they do their daily life. No. Now you've broken the co-creation. Under God, hierarchy, part of the idea of co-creation. And then equals next to each other that actually relate with each other under God. That's how it's supposed to be. And we've just, well, all of us, we've not learned this. And you might be mistaken about that. You might be like, oh no, I'm so spiritual. I know how this works. Well, you probably didn't And that's beautiful, because now you can consciously step into it and learn it, and know that that's just something that you are going to work on, and that you don't know it yet. So you just surrender into how God is going to guide that for you, how that works for you and stuff. It's not a competition. You're not going to control them. But what is it then, Yeah, relate. And that's within the co-creation, what happens there between you and your twin flame. But what is that? What's that feeling? Yeah. And that only follows correctly when you first co-create with God. And then you know how to relate. Or you actually don't. You just surrender to that you don't know that. And the more you surrender into that you don't know that, the more you will learn it. What helps is also stopping the idea that you should have already known this. You know it already. You already grew up 30 years ago. Stop doing as if I don't know basic stuff. Well, yeah, no, just open and learn new things. That would be very helpful if you can have the mentality to be open enough so that you can learn anew what that actually means. Because then you start to realize that you are going to be in the union perspective in the right way. And otherwise you're just stuck at, how you learned to non-relate, but say that it is a relationship, which is basically what all of us have been learning, how we grew up and how our peers were together with us, and how educational system taught us this and whatnot. And even all kinds of, but there are so many like psychologists and like, what about dating coaches and whatnot? Well, they also don't know what that is, all of them. So just surrender into the not knowing and in a co-creation with God, and then find out what this co-creation on an equal base with your true twin flame really is about. Yeah. And that's the same then in other relationships, because from that union perspective now derives other kinds of relationship that you also start to reformulate for yourself. You will see like, but I have all these women friends, for instance, when you're a woman, and now I can see that we're absolutely enmeshed with each other instead of being autonomous under God and relate to each other. Now I see it. This is just all nonsensical, what we were doing with all these so-called friendships, and they're toxic as hell. I see it now. Or you're like, I see now why my relationship with my spiritual teacher didn't work out, because I didn't understand that I would need to co-create with my teacher first. And that would mean that we're equal in that we're both standing next to each other. One is a teacher, the other is a student, but we would be standing in the relationship with the divine, and that first of all comes through the teacher to the student, so that when I'm the student I actually have to learn how to co-create while getting everything in that the teacher says. And I have to learn that that is what I want, and that is being equal in the relationship. And that is how I learn how to co-create with my twin flame too. And that is the value of the whole deal of our relationship. Now I understand what I did wrong, because I was not co-creating with my teacher like that at all. You see, and now you start to understand all these things. Very beautiful. Rightly ordered. And rightly ordered things all come in that union perspective where you shift towards. And that's all with love. Yeah, absolutely. And about love is also, there's a lot more to figure out about that. For instance, what are you feeling and thinking right now about what love really is? And how can you research that a little deeper so that it becomes applicable to your money life with love, influenced by love, your relationship life, influenced by love, your healing, influenced by love. Now, we're going to research all of that and inspire you to think deeper and feel deeper about all these things. And not, I want to say next week, but is that true? Yeah, that's true. Next week at this point when this video is made. Because on Monday, November 18, then we start the 5-day free love game. That's what it's called. Yeah. And you would be very welcome to join us. I have a link and it's published below. And if you click it and then you give me your name and your email address and you're in, and I would love to see how you are developing yourself next week in the love game. And I see you on the inside. Love from Petra.